rotate your device. Come on. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the Manitoba Genealogical Society Library and Resource Center. We acknowledge that we are gathered on ancestral lands on Treaty 1 territory. These lands are the heartland of the Métis people. We acknowledge that our water is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. Thank you to the Manitoba Provincial Heritage Agency grant program, which supports MGS. Today's live stream is to celebrate Manitoba Day. For our current hours, please go to our website at mbgenealogy.com. We have a fairly significant collection of material here to support the genealogical and family history research that our members are doing. For one, we have current subscriptions to about 60 or so periodicals, some of which are displayed here on the shelves to my left. Some of them are received in digital form by exchange with other genealogical societies, and they are can be seen on our computers here at the Resource Center. Now, if you'd like to come back here with me, I'll show you some of the other resources we have available. One of our the main parts of our collection is a collection of local history books from the province of Manitoba. I think we've got somewhere in the vicinity of 900 local histories from various municipalities, towns, villages, school districts, all around the province. It's one of the more complete collections, I think, in the province of Manitoba. And we have quite a number. Let me see if we go this way. And just walk past these shelves here. We've got quite a number of books on Western Canada in general. And we're getting, as we go further into the back of the collection, we're getting to the more general information. A lot of our people, of course, in Manitoba have ancestors who came from other places, from Eastern Canada. We've got a Western Canada section. We've got a section on Canada in general. The library is organized according to the Dewey decimal system, which is the system which is used in most public and school libraries. So a lot of people are already familiar with that system. And back here we get into the British information, the British books, the books on European history and background, general books on genealogical research and how to do it. We've got over on this side, we have a section on, quite a large section on family history and biographies. Biographies of people significant to Manitoba history, family histories written up by some of our members, some people who have donated family histories from other places, and biographies. And working back this direction towards the front again, And we have a reference section here. Collection of back issues of our journal Generations, which is also available on the on the MGS website. And we have a collection of quite an extensive collection of Winnipeg City Directories. The directories are an interesting source of information for genealogical and family history research. Directories in general have been around for perhaps a couple of 100 years, and they originally started as sources for business people to find out who else was in business in the particular location, and what kind of business, who ran the local livery stable, who the local lawyers and doctors and clergymen were. And they've become became more extensive over the years until in the, they're not generally being published anymore. That information is mostly available on the internet these days, but up until about 20 or so years ago, they were still being published, and the last 50 or so years of publication, they included almost everyone at every address in the whole city. By address, you could tell who lived at 123 Smith Street or whatever. You could tell who was in business at the corner of Portage and Main. You could look up an alphabetical listing of people's names and quite often find all the people who lived in a particular house, all the adults at least. One of the very important uses of the directories is to fill in the gaps between the census records. Censuses were generally taken every 10 years, but you could fill in some of the gaps by looking at the information available in the directories. And Henderson, they're generally called Henderson Directories because Henderson was one of the major publishers, at least in Western Canada. And there are Henderson Directories for Winnipeg, for Portage-la Prairie, for Brandon, for Regina, Saskatoon, Prince Albert, Edmonton, all over the place. We don't have them. We've got the ones from Winnipeg and Portage-la Prairie, but in other places you could find their local directories. And some of them are also have been digitized and put on the internet. And we've got some atlases here. We have a subscription to Ancestry, and the information is available on the computers here. We've also got a subscription to the, let me see, this is the newspaperarchive.com, which is available on, we only have it available for one user at a time. It's only on one computer. But you can get access to a large number of newspapers from, I don't know how far it goes, but I know that there's quite a few from United States and Britain, and we've got access to the Winnipeg Free Press and the issues of the Winnipeg Tribune, for instance, going right back, I think, to their beginnings. Mm-hmm. So, are there any questions? Hmm? Oh, the cemetery transcriptions. Yes, I should mention the cemetery transcriptions. We have over 1,300 cemetery transcriptions from large and small cemeteries all over the province. Starting perhaps about in the 1980s sometime, teams of went out from MGS, actually went to the cemeteries and recorded the transcriptions and put them into booklets. And like I said, there's over 1,300 cemeteries, some of them with only 1 or 2 or 3 graves, sometimes with only a few graves marked, but indications that there are other graves there. So, we've got the records are supplemented sometimes by paper records from the municipality or church or whoever owns or ran the cemetery. So
we have a question. What do you mean by transcriptions?
Copies of the copies of what was actually carved on the stone, the headstone in the graveyard.
What about the various Catholic, not Catholic, but various cemetery or church cemeteries?
Church records.
Church records.
Oh yes, we've got some church records. We've got records of from some of the old churches around the province. We've got the records of their baptisms, marriages, and burials, going back to the Red River settlement days in some cases.
So we have a question. Are they on a database?
Very in brief form. They are indexed on the MANI, that's M-A-N-I, the Manitoba Name Index. You can look up the name of interest on that database and get some information about what records are available, might be available on that person. It includes not only the church records, some church records in some cases at least, the cemetery transcriptions. It includes indexes to the local histories. That's an ongoing job. It's by no means complete, but there's a lot of information there.
Okay. Apologize for the camera. The camera was sideways. They didn't like it. They were looking at everything sideways. So here's.
Now, is there anything else to?
There's the newspapers on. Yeah.
There's a question.
And the question is MANI only for members?
Yes. If you're not a member, you can ask a very brief question and get some indication as to
But if they
what's
come in
available.
here, they can use it.
But people who come in here, even if they're not members, they can pay a daily $10 user fee, and we'll be able to look up information in MANI or use any of our other resources.
Question, are the church records the registers themselves or indexes?
They are the registers themselves.
Okay. If you have any more questions, keep them coming. Is your facility large enough for what you need to store?
So far we're managing.
Okay.
We'll be running the research recording after the session's over, if you want to mention that.
Just for our audience, we've got a few people on here. We'll be running a research session right after this session.
No, it'll be a separate session.
It'll be a separate session, so if you just keep following the Facebook feed or Facebook page, the feed will pop up. Any more questions?
Research services? Talk about our research services.
We have a group of people who will do some research for a fee for people who are unable to come and do it themselves. They can be contacted at, let me see, what is their address? Do you know offhand?
It's
Research
at
mbgenealogy.com.
Yes.
And they'll be able to see or meet them in the video that's coming up.
And the researchers you'll be able to see the researchers in the upcoming video that's following this live feed. There'll be another live feed. Had some comments. Thank you for great information.
Thank you for your interest. It's been a pleasure to introduce you to our Library and Resource Center.
If there's no more questions, I could do a quick walkthrough with the angle of the camera, just so that people aren't dizzy, and I'll just do a quick, short walkthrough. If I needed copies of articles from Winnipeg Free Press, where might I find it?
Well, you can come here when we're open. We're closed at the moment.
They're online at the Winnipeg Public Library.
They're online at the Winnipeg Public Library. You can come here and use our subscription to newsarchive.com. That's probably your best bet.
If they're a member, they can use a card to access it online.
Yeah.
Currently,
Yeah.
due to COVID.
People who are members of the Winnipeg Public Library can use their library card to access the newspaper archive through the public library website. Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, if you are not a member of the Winnipeg Public Library, and if you're not from Winnipeg, you should check your local libraries because they may be offering that service. I've told people to try checking with their libraries because of the
Yes.
shutdowns.
Yes.
I would suggest calling your local library and see what services they provide.
Yes, that's probably a good idea. Yeah.
Any other questions? If there's no other questions, I'm just going to slowly walk through the library holdings so that you're not all dizzy. And also encourage you, if you are members, we're always looking for volunteers because we do have a lot of things to do to keep our library running. And our annual meeting is coming up, so this would be the time to consider volunteering for whatever you can do. So here we have our various things. We do have a kitchenette in this resource center and library. We do have washroom facilities, and it's very accessible that way. if you wish to become a member, just go to our website and go to the membership page. There'll be further instructions there. And you can actually register online, and you get registered at the same time as making the payment, so that's very helpful. All of our online registration is through PayPal, and you don't need a PayPal account. I have to comment on for myself that I have a Rivers, Manitoba book in this library, and my grandfather is listed in there. Obviously, he was one of the founding members. And in amongst the pictures I have from 1920s, I was able to identify a few people in the picture just by reading who were on the committees listed in that book, so it was very helpful, actually. And just to bring you along, these are our church indexes and things, church records. We have file here, so we've got a lot of records here. And you'll be able to see every drawer here is full. So this is also the location where we have put on our webinars that took place from February and March. And yeah, we have a lot of holdings here. The books in our resources, if you go to our Koha, on the website, if you go to our Koha program, you can do a search in Koha and see if you're looking for a particular name or a particular location. I would suggest going on to the Koha, do a search, and it'll give you a bit more information. If we have it, it should be in Koha. Okay, we've got a lot of books, a lot of information. All right, so consider becoming a member. If you're not a member, consider becoming a volunteer if you're not already doing so. We really appreciate all the help that we can get. And hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
The videos are coming up.
Videos will be coming right away and follow up the research videos. So I will close for now, and thank you very much for attending. I appreciate it. Bye for now.